From what I've heard, Cuphead is a masterpiece, and it's got the reviews to back it up. But because I live under a rock, I have never played it before. So to make up for that, I decided that I would play through all of Cuphead in just one sitting, which unsurprisingly had me go insane. Ouch, 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 youch, yippee, youch, yippee, yippee. So I hope you enjoy watching my slow descent into madness. To quickly recap the story, Cuphead and his brother Mugman live in Inkwell Isle, where they live a quiet, whimsical life of chasing butterflies and hard gambling. Cuphead bets his and Mugman's life while in the Devil's Casino, and loses because he's been listening to TikTok wisdom for far too long, and now they have to do the Devil's bidding in return for their lives. So they consult the Elder Kettle, who seems to be taking this incredibly lightly. Fine pickle? Yeah, we have our lives on the line. I'd call it a bit more than a pickle. And he produces a magic potion from within his body. Drink this mystery potion. Personally, if I witnessed someone pull a potion from within their body and told me to drink it, I wouldn't.
No.
But we're in cartoon land, so anything goes. With the tutorial done in record time, I received some pity money, thanks for that, and headed towards my first boss, the Root Pack. They weren't too bad, although I did die to the onion once. Then I realized I hadn't yet started the timer. So then I promptly packed them up. Get it? Because they're like the Root Pack, and then I packed them. Then it was on to Ribby and Croaks, who I immediately clocked as being inspired by Street Fighter. What are these Street Fighter knockoffs? Their first and second phases were simple enough, but I did have some trouble with their last phase. Which, by the way, is crazy work as they turn into a slot machine after we all, me and I assume the frogs, lost our lives to gambling. Inkwell Isle might have a gambling epidemic here. That aside, the tiger phase was kind of brutal, but after another few tries... Oh! Third time's a try! Third time's the charm, that's what I tried to say. After that, I made a pit stop at the store and purchased the smoke bomb, which would help me immensely during the future bosses. And also side note, this guy has a full-on Tommy gun in the back. See? That would have made my journey a whole lot easier if I could have just bought that. But also, probably would have gotten the video demonetized, so maybe it's for the better. Skipping over the run and gun because nothing interesting happened, I faced Goopy Legrand. He was giving me a tough time because I just couldn't predict his jumps, especially when he became big.
Bro! No! Chill! Bro, what was that? What was that?
Plus, I kept mixing the dash and EX buttons as they were right next to each other, and, well, I have fat thumbs, so you can guess what happens there. Oh my god! I didn't mean to... I meant to super, not dash. After some trial and error, I beat him on my 5th try and progressed on. I once more stopped by the shop and bought the spread shot, which would be useful later on. Hildaberg's fight was a bit of a shock to me since, out of nowhere, we're fighting in a plane now. It took a little bit of time for me to get the hang of the controls, which was evident as I kept getting hit by her laughing attack, the easiest thing to dodge. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Am I just gonna get hit by the laugh every single time? The freaking laugh every single time, bro. After a little bit of practice, I started to get the hang of it, and then eventually took her out. Just die. No! Let's go! Let's go! The next run and gun wasn't too bad until they pulled out my kryptonite. Platforming. Luckily, it's still a beginner level, so the difficulty wasn't too bad. But it would come back with a vengeance in the near future. I unlocked the super in the mausoleum after saving the legendary chalice from ghosts, then headed to the last boss of the isle, Kagny Carnation.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
The hardest part about Kagny is when he activates his machine gun attack, because one moment there's barely anything on screen, to then a bajillion projectile and plants sprouting from the ground. On top of that, in his last phase, he just straight up removes the ground. Nevertheless, on the 7th try... Come on, die. You're like, you have... There we go. I was then off to Aisle 2. Aisle 2 was where the bosses started ramping up in difficulty, which was evident by the first boss I took on, Beppy the Clown. My main struggle with Beppy was his second phase, where he would spawn the balloon dogs everywhere, and the roller coaster certainly wasn't helping. Okay, it just keeps spawning in the worst possible places. Thankfully, I had Spread Shot, which was amazing for this fight, as I could get maximum damage peppering him with bullets. Take this. And hit the parry. I'm goated with the sauce. Come on. Super, second super. You've got to be almost dead. Come on. Come on. Oh my god. There we go. Baroness von Bonbon was in general an easy boss, especially if you get the easier sub-bosses like the Gumball Machine or Jawbreaker. Trial and error is required for her because of the sub-bosses, but because they each have one main gimmick or attack, she went down pretty easy. Then came Jimmy the Great, the first plain level of Aisle 2. Oddly enough, the least consistent part of this fight for me was trying not to get hit during the pillar sequence, since my control over the plane was still awful. No way. No way. How? How am I supposed to beat him when I can't fly a plane properly? That being said, his third phase was my favorite, for the sole reason that out of nowhere, he sounds exactly like SpongeBob. Why does bro sound like SpongeBob? My next obstacle was the Carnival Run and Gun, which took a frustrating 15 minutes to beat. Which coincidentally is how long it took me to beat Wally Warbles. Then, I had another shopping trip, unlocked another super at the Mausoleum, and completed another run and gun, this one taking only 12 minutes. At this point, the levels were getting a little frustrating, not because they were unfair, but because the difficulty was ramping up faster than I was improving. But these feelings paled in comparison to what I felt when fighting the last boss of the Isle, Grim Matchstick. My arch nemesis, my kryptonite, the destroyer of joy. Grim here has simple attacks that I memorized pretty quickly. Decent health, a big hitbox, but he's not the issue here. It's the damn platforming. It always is. I had to be conscious of where I was at all times, otherwise I'd be stuck between tanking a hit or just falling off screen. How do I dodge that, man? There was no clouds on the bottom. Heck, not even my super was safe, as I'd have no platforms to land safely on afterwards. Or, I'd have a projectile conveniently in my skull as it ended. No! Add to the fact that I'm an absolute knucklehead and didn't think to equip the items I had just purchased, which caused me to be stuck, hearing the sound of breaking silverware for 30 minutes before I called it quits to take a break. This is not the run. This is not the run. I refuse. I refuse. I refuse. I refuse. I'm gonna take a break, guys. I'm gonna, grab a snack, come back, refreshed, and happy that I decided to get this game and record it, and, try to beat it in one sitting. That's what I'm gonna do. I'll be back. Just you wait. When I come back, when I'm back, I'll beat him.
Much later.
Okay, we're back. Damn, 2 hours and 50 minutes. How long was I gone? Well, I, for one, enjoyed that break. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready to take on this boss. I'm gonna do it this time. Okay, let's do this. How am I supposed to dodge that? My good mood quickly evaporated after getting nowhere, and I was slowly going insane during the fight. Dash right into the damage. I'm gonna lose my mind. I think I should get a drink of water, cause I'm gonna get some. I can't think of a rhyme. Oh, ho, ho, ho. All I gotta do is dodge. If I just dodge, then I won't get hit, and if I won't get hit, I won't die, and if I won't die, I'll keep damaging, and if I keep damaging him, I'll win. That's the secret formula. Where's the formula, crabs? Give me the formula, Eugene. How did I die? How did I die? Please explain to me. I was nowhere near the hitbox. In total, my skirmish with Grim lasted a miserable hour and 20 minutes. And I still had to get through all of Aisle 3 and the Devil's Casino. Hey, I guess you could say that outlook on the situation was quite grim. Getting access to Aisle 3, I decided to fight Captain Brinybeard. Since he was giving me some trouble, I decided to do what I should have done for the dragon. Changed my loadout, which made the fight significantly easier. 3 attempts later, and I beat him. Which would have been 1 if this nonsense didn't happen. Hey. What the heck is that? No, not the freaking bear! After that, I moved on to the run and gun with all the seafood. Please be relaxing, at least a little bit. I attempted this depressing level for 30 minutes before realizing, hey, this is a run and gun which isn't required for progression. I promptly threw in the towel and headed to Cala Maria, where more tomfoolery occurred. Time to die. What? Please. Why did I. What? Let me out! Let me out! Get over here! Ah. Let me out, let me out, let me out. That's not fair. I was frozen. Let me out, let me out, let me out, let me out, let me out. Let me out. How do I get out? But it wasn't long before I beat her. Come on, no! Go! Oh, yes! That's how it's done. Backtracking, I then faced Ruma Honeybottoms, it's just a name you gotta say with an accent, where I had the same platforming trouble. Especially during her plane phase, shooting downward while platforming upwards is pain incarnate. But, using my brain, I equipped the lobber so I could bypass this issue and finally beat her, taking an odd 20 minutes. Another run and gun down, and then it was time to face off against Dr. Cal's robot. This is Grim if it was a plain level. It took me 40 minutes to beat him. What makes the fight so hard was that during his first phase, he has 3 attacks. His beam, the little ships that spawn, and the laser. These aren't too bad so long as you pay attention. The hard part is when you destroy each body part, they transition into harder attack patterns. I mainly focused on destroying the chest and torso first because there is no way I'm dealing with this damn head cannon going off for the whole first phase. Then, his last phase where he pulls out his Chaos Emeralds is excruciating. The attack is just projectile overload. But the thing that makes it so unbearable is that it's so damn long. He just doesn't stop. And the electric barriers that pop out of nowhere don't help in the slightest. My strategy for beating this was to get as many parries for a super and just pray that it would end soon. After just barely surviving Dr. Cal, I picked up the last super in the mausoleum and fought Sally's stage play, which was just a matter of memorizing her attack patterns. All I'll say about the Phantom Express is screw the ghosts, screw the pumpkins, and especially screw these damn ghosts. They're the sole reason this fight was so miserable. Finally, after so much pain, it was time for the last world, Inkwell Hell. At this point in the game, I had been recording for 6 hours and I was exhausted, physically and mentally. But the end was in sight, so I gathered the little resolve I had left and fought King Dice. I'll admit, the gimmick of rolling for different bosses was pretty cool, as was the entire casino theme, and I was getting pretty lucky getting the easy fights. But it seems that I have used up all my luck because... You're kidding, you're kidding, you're kidding, you're kidding. No, no. Thankfully, I brought it all the way back to King Dice. Only to die and have to restart for real this time. Great. My second time, I was more consistent at rolling for what I needed and even took out the mini bosses pretty quickly. Except, once again... Am I just gonna hit that every single time I get there? Are you kidding me? Again, I had to bring it all the way back to King Dice, and this time... actually beat him. Just by the skin of my teeth, though. Finally, it was time to meet the devil himself. So I entered his domain, and of course we didn't hand over the soul contracts because that would make for a lame end to this video. The devil, as expected for a final boss, gave me a hard time. I almost beat him in one of my earlier runs, but of course, I choked. Right before he gave in. There's no way. You're kidding, 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 you're kidding. There's no way, there's no way. What followed was agony. I've been recording non-stop for 6.5 hours and I just wanted it over. Plus, all the anger and fatigue was not helping one bit. In fact, I was progressively getting worse with each run. What especially didn't help my morale was that I died right at the finish line once more. No. I was like 3 hits more. But I was determined to see this through until it was over. So I pushed the fatigue through my rage, and at 6 hours and 48 minutes... That's it. Oh, I'm done. Bro. It was finally over. 6, almost 7 hours later, and I had beaten the entire game of Cuphead in one sitting. Through the pain, the sorrow, the horrors of platforming, it was complete, and I could close the final page on the story of Cuphead. And these were my final thoughts directly after beating the game. Well, that was quite an adventure, I'll say that. The bosses were fun until IL3, where they just got hard, and I just got sad and mad, and overall just done. Well, yeah, that's that, I guess. I don't know what to say. Like, subscribe, maybe, or don't. I'm gonna go to bed now, so bye. Hey, wait a minute. Is the video not over yet? Give me a sec. Let me see here. Wait. No.